Hello everyone and welcome to our happiest half hour of the week, the Florida Holidays podcast. My name's Abby and I am joined as always by Zara.
Hello.
Hello, Zara.
I love that intro.
Thought I'd change it up just a little bit.
That's wild. I mean, it's my happiest
just
half
come
hour
to
of the
me.
week.
Me too.
We always have a giggle.
We do. Hopefully it's yours too and you're grabbing yourself a brew and settling with us for the next half an hour where we talk about
multi-centre holidays and why they are a game changer for your holiday.
They are.
As Abby said, get your brew, settle in, do some dreaming.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about like how to up-level your next holiday.
Yeah.
So when we talk multi-centres, what actually do we mean? Do you want to break it down for everybody?
Yeah, so we mean a holiday within a holiday, really. So gone are the days where you would stay in the same place for 2 weeks. It's so easy now to break that up.
Yeah.
So you can do, I mean, we'll talk about quite a few different ones today, but you can do that if Orlando and the parks are on your hit list, the top of your list, absolutely. But why don't you pair that with something else, whether that's something on the beach in Florida, you might want to do a West Coast Disney trip over to do an East Coast Disney trip.
Yep.
It might be a bit of a city that you wanted to see. So you could do New York, you could do the Florida Keys. There's so much that you can do within the US.
And even if you don't want to go outside of Orlando, like we still can talk about twin centres.
Yeah, we've spoke about it a lot, haven't we? Like switching your hotel stays up or staying in a villa, staying on property within Orlando. We can do that.
Yeah.
But today we're talking about sort of further afield, aren't we? So like another holiday within a holiday.
Absolutely,
or 2 for 1 or 3 for 1 or...
That makes me feel like I'm getting a bargain.
Well, they're great value though, aren't they?
They are fantastic value. We've said this before on an episode when we were talking about direct and indirect fly-in. So I know we've sort of had conversations where you've flown into New York before on your trip to Orlando because it was cheaper to do an indirect flight. So you've paired it with a couple of days in New York.
Yeah.
That is a multi-centre holiday right there.
They work for us as well because we've got, you guys will know this by now, but I've got sort of older kids. So we all, as 4 adults now, when we travel on holiday together, we all sort of, it's certain things are our favourites and there's peaks and there's things we don't quite want to do so much. But when you travel together now as 4 adults, it's all about compromise and it means that everybody is getting something out of their trip. There's little compromise and it just adds that flexibility. So, like, you know, the Ruby was desperate. She wanted to go and see New York.
Nice.
So then that's what we did. And then we flew down to Orlando and did the sort of traditional family annual Orlando trip. And that's what the multi-centres allow you to do. There's something on them for everybody. You're sort of ticking off a few things from each people's sort of top priority list, aren't you?
Yeah, I love that. It gives you another handful of experiences in your holiday.
Yeah.
So I think we'll quickly touch on a twin centre holiday at Walt Disney World and Universal.
Yep.
That's something that we see a lot of at Ocean Florida. It is one of our most popular twin centre options. Is doing 7 nights at Disney and then 7 nights at Universal. So you're staying on site at each of those resorts. And with that, you get the benefits of each.
You're optimising your holiday to the max because you get each set of benefits, don't you? So
you do, yeah.
You get all of the benefits for staying on Walt Disney World Resort property and then you then benefit on your Universal days from all of those perks that you get when you stay at Universal Orlando Resort. So you're just optimising your holiday, your time, getting the best out of it, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Because you get things at each of those resorts. You'll get things like free park transfers, free park shuttles, early theme park entry. You get like the whole theme in, so you stay in the bubble.
Immersive.
It's totally immersive. You're close to each of the attractions. So you never... quite often people might feel like if they're doing Orlando and they are doing both Disney parks and Universal parks, they don't just want to stay on Disney property, because then that's quite a trek, isn't it, up to Universal?
Yeah, it can be with traffic.
So split it in half, do both. You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You get to be close to the action, no matter what parks you're doing. It's a no-brainer for me.
It is, yeah.
Excuse me, sorry. So if we're not talking splitting your time between Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando, we can think about other multi-centres in Orlando as well. So you might do a theme park stay paired with a villa.
Yep.
Have you done that before? Because I know you do a lot of villa holidays.
We have. Yeah, we've done both. We've done it a few times. Probably the bulk of our time. Again, we've covered this before, but when my kiddos were younger, the villa it just worked best for our family, and I've explained to you guys, a few times now why that worked so well. But then when they were getting older, we sort of started to do that whole twin stay thing, purely because of the perks, the perks that you get, and we just found that it took a bit of the stress away from it, really.
Yeah.
Being in the heart of the bubble, and as the kids were getting older, like they could, if me and Mike had enough by 8 o'clock, the kids would stay in. I know that they were safe and sound. They'd get back on the resort buses themselves because they were obviously much older.
Yeah.
So that just worked for us. And then it wasn't until we started to do that then we sort of started then to flip it, and we now like to do like what you've said. So we like to stay on resort in Disney and then move across to Universal, and that works. Like a big highlight for my son Jack is Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
Now he will stay in Halloween Horror Nights until it shuts, which is like 2
Until kick it
a.m.
out time.
It's 2 a.m. Now I like to be in bed by 9. So like for me, 2 a.m. is a stretch. But when you're staying on property, again, the kids can stay in. And make their own way back home.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 26 and 22, so I'm not talking about like 10-year-olds here. They're fully grown, but that is how it works for us, and it means that even though it is our annual family time, it's our once a year when we're all together with no distractions. Everyone is still able to get a bit of their own highlights from that trip, and it just keeps everyone happy.
And that is the biggest thing when you go on an Orlando holiday.
Yeah.
It's a lot, it's full on.
It is, and I think some of these, like I'm sure a lot of you watch a lot of vloggers and things like that, where everything is sunshine and roses 24/7. Like the reality is that it probably ain't like that.
No,
you're gonna have. I'm sure Zara will tell you more about this when she comes back.
When I come back, I'll be
her
like,
trip, and hopefully there won't be too many. But I'm sure there'll be minutes when Robin has little mini meltdowns and things like that.
Just because I take her out of the country doesn't mean the meltdowns stop.
No. So it's not. There are moments when people are tired and stressed.
Yeah.
And I think whatever you can do to sort of mitigate against that is a winner.
And I think for me, that's why pairing a theme park stay with a villa would be perfect, because if you stayed, say, at Universal Orlando Resort for a week and you've like immersed yourself in it, you've done all the parks, you've walked 20,000 steps a day, you've eaten all the things, and you want a little bit of a break before you go home, get yourself a few nights in a villa before you go back, or even another week in a villa. You've got your own space, you've got a bit more serenity, you can move at your own pace. A lot of these villa resorts, as we've spoken about before, have like incredible amenities that you can use, water parks, games rooms, on-site cinemas, all sorts of things. But you can just take it at a little bit of a slower pace. Yeah. So you're not going straight from the hustle and bustle of theme parks, getting on that flight straight back to work. Like, you give yourself a minute to decompress. So that's why I like the idea of pairing a theme park resort with a villa.
And I think what we should say as well about any of these multi-centres that we discussed today, that they are not any more expensive, are they? Because you're not doing that sort of transatlantic leg as though you would be if you were to, go to Orlando in May and go to New York in December or what have you.
Yes.
You haven't got those big transatlantic legs, so it doesn't really cost any more, does it? Than
you just pay for your internal flight rather than paying for your flight to Orlando and from Orlando in May, and then to New York and from New York in December, as you said. You've got the one flight there, the one flight back, a little internal, Done.
And sometimes it doesn't even have to be classed as an internal flight. It would just be, a flight from London to Orlando via New York, and you get a free stopover, what's classed as a free stopover in New York, and then you can extend that for 2 nights, and you're paying for your hotels, obviously, but it's not even a separate internal flight sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends on the routes and things, but... So I think it was important to say on
definitely.
any of these that this is all achievable for everyone, because it's probably not going to cost much more than a single centre.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised that they can do 2 holidays in one without it costing the same as 2 holidays.
And so the value aspect's great, isn't it?
Yeah, and our experts are amazing.
Yeah.
Quite often they'll suggest things that you might not have even thought of, and they'll they'll sort of tailor it to what your family style is.
Yeah.
So they're great at that. So if you even think, maybe I want to do a multi-centre, or I want something a little bit different from my next Orlando holiday, they'll be able to guide you through all the way.
Yeah.
One of our absolute favourites is pairing Orlando with a Florida beach break.
Yeah.
So the reasons are very similar to what I've just said with the theme park hotels plus a villa stay. You do your Orlando stay, you get your fix of all the fun, and then go to the coast, and it is so dreamy and chilled out.
Yeah.
We've got to talk about Anna Maria Island, obviously.
Yeah.
That is your
So
favourite.
I will be doing that in April this year. I think my countdown is about 70 days as we speak.
Ooh, lovely.
Something like that. But yeah, so that's what we're doing in April.
Nice.
But we are definitely doing it back to front.
How are you?
Yeah,
Nice.
we are. We're doing Anna Maria Island first. And that's just my preference. If I don't spend my last day in Magic Kingdom and say my last goodbyes, then that's just our thing.
That's your tradition, yeah.
And there's other reasons as well. My daughter is competing in April, so it's nice for her to get acclimatised get rid of the jet lag and things like that. So we are going to go. We're going to Anna Maria Island. We're staying in a villa. We are renting a golf cart, so we'll drive from the airport. We will dump the car there at the villa. We've got a golf cart, so we'll be golf carting up and down the island with our cooler in the back and just switching up the beaches, switching up the sunsets. So we'll be doing that for the first 4 nights, and then we move across to Orlando.
Lovely.
So we're definitely doing it back to front. It makes absolute sense to do Orlando and then have some downtime, some holiday time, some at the end of the trip after you're absolutely exhausted from the park. So we're definitely doing it back to front, but there are reasons.
Yeah, there are reasons that match your family, and that's the point. Like you can tailor it however you want. If you want to do.
But there's so many beaches as well that are sort of really not that far from Orlando. I went, it was a work trip. So we took some people out to Orlando in November. And somewhere I hadn't been for a long, long time was the other coast. So Cocoa Beach, that area.
Space Coast.
The Space Coast. I hadn't been there for so long. Yeah. But we got there in probably about an hour maximum. So it's like literally, in American terms,
day trippable.
It's literally down the road.
Yeah.
So you've got that sort of coast where you've got Daytona. Stop off at Buc-ee's on the way to Daytona. There's one en route. Cocoa, beautiful. We were lucky enough to. Well, we weren't lucky enough because it didn't go up, but we were hoping to see a rocket launch. There was one scheduled. Never went ahead, but you've got all of that, which is so interesting.
It is, yeah.
And then you've got the other side. It's a little bit further.
Yeah.
So, St. Pete's, Clearwater, Anna Maria Island, Sarasota, sorry.
Disney on the brain.
And that's probably within 2 hours of Orlando. So really not far.
Yeah.
And then if you want to do something completely different, you can go all the way down.
All the way down.
As far as Key West.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. I think we're going to talk about that.
We are going to talk
about the Keys a little bit more. But yeah, so you haven't got to travel a million miles away to find an absolutely beautiful beautiful beach.
Yeah.
So even if you just want to do it 10 nights in Orlando, 4 nights at the beach, you haven't got a massive drive ahead of you. It's really, really doable.
Absolutely, yeah. And you also haven't got a massive drive back to the airport on your way home, because that's the last thing you want after, you've had your downtime, you've chilled out, and then you've got to gear yourself up again to get all the way back to the airport. But it's really not that far.
No.
We are going to talk about the Florida Keys, because you don't have to go to Orlando. I know, crime, but you don't have to go to Orlando when you go to Florida. So a lot of people will do road trips down through the Florida Keys. That's like a big bucket list travel item.
Yeah.
I've done it myself. It is one of my absolute favourite experiences that I've ever done. So you might consider flying into Miami, or even if you are flying into Orlando, you can have a couple of days in Orlando, maybe take the Bright Line train all the way down to Miami, rent your car from there, and then take your time road tripping down the Keys. Every single key has got its own little quirky style. They're all very different. They've all got unique things to see. You could spend like a night or two on some of the bigger keys, and, if you did that for a 14-night holiday, you're somewhere new every couple of days without travelling a million miles because they're all so close together. Yeah. It's gorgeous. Key West is my absolute favourite place in the world.
I love Key West.
It is so weird, but beautiful.
Weirdly wonderful.
Weirdly wonderful, yeah.
It really, really is. It's really edgy, really arty, local, art. It's a fabulous place. There's nowhere else that I've been to in the US that's anything like it.
No.
It's a whole vibe.
It is so colourful and like,
you're walking down the street, aren't you? And there's little cockerels.
Cockerels.
I mean, that's really random, but it's
random,
just,
yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? And cats,
six-toed cats from Ernest Hemingway's house.
Yeah.
I mean, what a random thing.
Yeah.
But this is what we mean. Like, every key has a different personality, different history. I think that's such a special trip to consider doing. That would be a once in a lifetime.
Oh, it would be. Yeah. I would like to. I'd like to do Miami.
Yeah.
Do that whole city, nightlife, South Beach, Ocean Drive. I would love to do all of that. Maybe you could even join a cruise. There is so many cruises, like short cruises, 3-4 night cruises out of Miami. You could do that and then maybe drive down to the Keys.
Absolutely,
like you say, you haven't even got to touch Orlando.
Yeah.
There's some great places. Sports fishing, you can
fishing's huge down there.
Yeah, so you can hire your own captain and boat, and you can go out and
feel so bougie.
Fishing and sports fishing and things like that.
Dolphin spotting.
Yeah. The one thing I will say about the Keys, which did surprise me, is that there are very minimal beaches.
Yeah, when you say Florida Keys, you think like, oh, tiny little islands, and you assume islands have got beaches.
I mean, they are absolutely stunning. It is, you sort of look, you pretty much, well, you are surrounded by water, but when you're on that road down, travelling through the Keys,
the 7 Mile Bridge,
you literally are looking either side of you and it is ocean.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
It is stunning. And things like you were just saying about taking a cruise out of Miami, if you don't want to drive, fly into Miami and take a cruise out of Miami to see the Keys. Yeah. And we'll be talking about cruise and stay holidays on a separate episode. But you don't have to drive if you don't want to have a multi-centre holiday. No. And that's the same with Orlando as well. If you say you did an Orlando paired with the beach and you don't want to drive, we can arrange transfers. There's Ubers. There's, as we said, the Bright Line train down from Orlando International Airport down to Miami. There are ways and means to do it if you don't fancy driving. Yeah. Right, multi-centre doesn't mean you have to have a car.
No, absolutely not. No.
And you did touch on it just a little bit when we started. Pairing East Coast and West Coast for your fix of Disney and Universal is perfection. Yeah. Like, you've got the OG ones in California and you've got the biggest ones in Florida. Yeah. It is a theme park lover's dream.
It's a theme park lover's dream. It's an incredible I would say once in a lifetime thing to do to get to experience both. Because the problem with that is that you've got sort of two lots of tickets to pay for almost. So that is probably one of the pricier options purely because of the tickets. But if you are a massive Disney fan like we are, there is nothing quite like sort of walking in the steps of Mr. Walt Disney in that original
kiss me the
part.
goosies.
There's nothing like that. Obviously, he never got to see the Florida project finished, did he?
Yeah.
But, so there's nothing like doing that. And again, even if you take Orlando out of it again and you just do California, there is so much to see in California. Whether that be LA, whether that be a little bit further north, and then making your way down.
And again, you don't have to have
Anaheim.
A car. Like when we went, we did the Amtrak train. So we started off in LA. We did Hollywood and Universal Studios. Got the train down to San Diego, beautiful, and then we got the train up to Oceanside, which is a very little known, well hidden gem. It's perfection. And then we finished up again on the train in Anaheim. It was amazing. It is so easy to get about California in particular on the train.
Really, I didn't know that.
Honestly, it is so easy. It's affordable. It's fast. You get to sit by, literally the ocean outside of your train window. It's not like, pulling up and down like we do up and down from the Midlands to London. Like, it's a nice journey. It's gorgeous. And that's part of the adventure. That travel becomes part of the whole experience. Some of our favourite times from that trip were when we were all sat on the train, like, I'd accidentally locked my suitcase with the wrong code, couldn't get in it. So we're sat on the train, like trying to hack into my suitcase. Those memories that you can make on part of the journey become, part of the adventure in itself.
That sounds dreamy. I want to do that.
It was perfection, Abby. It was so good because then nobody's got to worry about like.
I just didn't know that. When we went to Cali, we drove all the way down from San Francisco. We did the Pacific Coast Highway, so we literally got the car. And I've never been as far down as you have. That's the furthest south we went was Anaheim. But those places that you've just mentioned there, they sound beautiful.
Gorgeous. How long did you take to do that journey?
I forget now, but we did 3 nights in San Francisco. We made our way down to Monterey, Carmel. We stayed there for a couple of nights. We did, I forget now. I think we did Santa Cruz. I'm thinking of the overnight stays, but you sort of stop, don't you, as you sort of make, like you've just said, you make the drive part of the trip, and we were in and out of the car, and we did, I think it's called 9 Mile Drive, which is like between Monterey and Carmel. We did that. It's a beautiful national park, and then we did the whole. We did Santa Barbara. We then had a few days in LA. So we did all of the sights and sounds of LA, and then went down to Anaheim.
Dream.
And did the Disney parks.
Yeah, that sounds incredible.
So it was a 2-week trip all in all. But I would have loved to have spent a little bit more time in each.
Make it a 4-week
trip. On that way down from San Francisco down to LA, because just having that one night.
Yes.
By the time you get there, and so I always think, just try and think about that, because sometimes you can feel like you're just touching the surface. Yeah. Whereas I think if we'd have done 2 nights in some of those places, we'd have seen but then that's just an excuse to go back.
And that's, again, a good thing about the train. Like, it is quicker than driving, so you get longer in your destination. And when we got to each destination, we didn't have a car, but we got hopped in an Uber. It was so easy. And actually, the train stations that we visited, at least, were in fantastic locations. So we weren't like travelling miles away. So the Ubers weren't that pricey. So that,
that's really good to know.
Yeah. And when we're talking about making the journey part of your adventure, we hadn't talked about this beforehand, but Route 66 obviously is an iconic route, but that is a multi-centre holiday. That is you arriving in one place, stopping off at all your little different destinations along the way, and winding up, you know, on your beach.
Route 66 just looks, again, I feel like I say this all the time, but this is something that I need to do.
You've got a really big bucket list.
I know.
But you always go back to Orlando. You need to see the world.
So what I'd like to do, I probably wouldn't do Route 66 all the way to Chicago. I would probably stop somewhere there and then
yes,
head down to back down to Orlando. But
I'd be a bit scared to drive in Chicago, I think.
Oh yeah,
busy.
I follow a great guy, Justin Scarrod, that a lot of you have probably heard of. But some of the interesting things that he shows you, these America's small towns, America's forgotten towns, all the side, the roadside little chintzy attractions, and on Route 66. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I say to Mike all the time, Mike, we need to do that. We need to do that.
And what does Mike say?
He just ignores me. Mike's a passenger princess, so he just turns up really with his suitcase and never actually knows what we're doing or where we're going. But
you do all the things and he just arrives.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a control freak like that. But yeah, so and of course Route 66, America's 250th birthday this year now. So it's a really good year to do.
Yeah.
To do such a historical road trip as Route 66.
Yeah. And just going back to California, the Pacific Highway is fully open
Pacific
again now,
Coast
isn't it?
Highway. It's fully open.
As though we're having like some maintenance and refurb done, and that is fully open now, so you can go all the way down the coast.
Yeah, so we had to, I mean, don't get me wrong, and it was something that I didn't even think to research, if I'm honest, when we were planning that trip.
Yes.
But they do have so many sort of landslides and things like that it wasn't until we were sort of a few days out of going that I realised part of it was closed.
Yeah.
So you sort of then have to do a detour. It was a small detour, but actually even with that detour, it was beautiful. And I think at that point, we'd never been to California. So the only thing we got to compare it to was like the east side of the US.
It is so different.
It is so different. Wow. So even that little detour, it was great. We loved it. But yeah, that was something that I didn't even know to consider. But yeah, absolutely, it is fully open now, so you can drive all the way down. Oh, it's beautiful. Scary in places.
Yeah.
You are so close to that cliff edge.
I don't like things like going to Wales when there's like a big hill and I'm like, can we just skid you over? So it might make me a bit nervous, but definitely worth the views.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
So I feel like we could go on about every single type of twin centre, multi-centre holiday for hours. But I think we've touched on the main ones that our customers tend to go for. We've talked about some of our own personal experiences and why we love it so much. Is there anything else you want to add? Have we missed anything?
I don't think so. I think the only thing I would say is that, yes, we have talked about what I would say are the sort of more obvious ones today, the more ones that you automatically think of. But we can pretty much do anything that you want. At some point, this isn't I better let Mike do this, but he really wants to go and visit Kansas City. He wants to go to Arrowhead.
Nice,
before the Kansas City Chiefs move to a new stadium. So we will do something completely random.
That is really random.
Very soon. So we will do Kansas City and then probably end up in Orlando. So we have only talked about the obvious ones, but pretty much... If you've got something somewhere random that you want to see for some reason, tell us. We can do it.
Yeah,
we can do it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I think we'll wrap up just there. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the podcast. We're on YouTube, Spotify, all of your socials, and wherever you get your podcasts. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.